Well, we have quite the interesting case tonight, don't we? We have a movie that somehow tops Frankenstein, has no pre-existing source material, and is only inspired by Tutankhamun, and it's also the only Universal monster movie that does not have a direct sequel. Nor does it really have any production notes or anything of that matter. So this is going to be more of a traditional movie review, rather than doing super back deep dive stuff. Because there's none to speak of here. It talks about legacy and sequels and all that, but there's nothing about the production and there's no trivia or facts. So this one's going to be a lot more straightforward. So, yep, we are up to our first Universal Monster movie that is 100% original. Yes, it was inspired by King Tutankhamun and the curse and that whole urban legend, but outside of that, it is pretty much its own entire entity. There's no pre-existing source material, even if something sounds similar to it. There's no pre-existing source material. This is the first Universal movie that actually allowed Boris Karloff to talk, and helped us figure out how he has a really damn cool voice. I mean, he voices the Grinch after all of it many years later, so of course he has a cool voice. And it's just another amazing film. So, what's up? What's happening? What's going on? Everybody, welcome back to Animation Station, your numbers for anything and everything animation, including anything and everything monsters, as well as TV and movies. I'm your host and classic horror fan, Jackson Small. Welcome back to 31 Days of Horror Monster-Mania. And today, or tonight I guess I should say, we are taking a look at the 1932 Boris Karloff movie, The Mummy. Directed by Carl Freund and produced by Carl Laemmle Jr., the same guy that produced the Spanish version of Dracula. And it's another movie that has a very, very small cast. You have Boris Karloff, Zita Johann, David Manners, Edward Van Sloan, and Arthur Byron. Only two or three of those actors are from Dracula or Frankenstein. The rest are new people. So, what's the movie about, really? Well, it's about an ancient Egyptian mummy named Imhotep who is discovered by a team of archaeologists, and then is inadvertently brought back to life through a magic scroll. And then after scaring the daylights out of the security guard there and taking the scroll back, he then disguises himself as a modern Egyptian named Ardith Bey. Under this disguise, he searches for his lost love, who he believes has been reincarnated into a modern girl, after his attempt to try to bring back the actual sarcophagus of his dead love doesn't work. So the rest of the movie is all about Imhotep trying to convince this girl to join him in death in the afterlife, where they can rule for all eternity. Or, as James Rolfe puts it very plainly, it's a love story that has spanned over 1,000 years. And it's pretty cool. A grand majority of why this movie works so well is Boris Karloff. Again, because this is a movie that finally allows him to talk, and he gets some of the most chilling dialogue and monologues that you will ever hear in your life. Even hearing it now, despite having watched this movie at least 20 times, it still gives me chills. That whole, damning monologue he gives to the archaeologists who try to take his love away from him. That is some really, really good writing. And trying to explain anything more is going to ruin the experience. This is one that will be spoiler free, because again, no big facts or anything like that to speak of. However, one really interesting thing about this movie I can comment on is that this one has our first on-screen death in the entire Universal Monster series. And it's also our first impaling in movie history. You literally see them get impaled by spears in a flashback to keep the tomb's location a secret in ancient Egyptian tradition. And you literally see the spear go through the guy all the way out his chest. And there's a bit of blood, and even if it's tame by today's standards, back then it was something pretty crazy. And again, no pre-existing source material was used here, just an inspiration of a real-life urban myth, and then they went with it from there. And it's pretty amazing, man. Like, I wish I could try to put it into words for you, but it's just amazing. It's a great tragedy, it's a great monster movie, and it is one of Boris Karloff's best films. Plain and simple. Even better than his performance as Frankenstein. And again, some of the monologues that he gets are so chilling. Like, absolutely just chilling. However, another weird thing is that this is a movie that was made and released in December of 1932. Yes, this movie was made in the time it absolutely should not have been made. Like, I don't know why they waited until December of the next year to do their next movie. But I assume it's them trying to put more into the overall production design and production quality, which they definitely do. Because there were mistakes with Dracula, you know. The bats on strings, cardboards on lamps. Go watch that review if you want that whole rundown. So for this movie, they actually went the extra mile and tried to give it a little bit more sophistication. The effects are better, the sets are better, everything's a lot more elaborate. Like, there's just higher production value all across the board. It's a lot like the 1931 Spanish version of Dracula, but it's in English and it's about a completely different movie monster. So with all that said, I guess all that's left now is the overall final review. And again, it's a pretty short one, so it's a pretty straightforward story. Frankenstein was a classic and an absolutely remarkable tribute for Boris Karloff and the Universal Monsters pantheon. But somehow, someway, they actually managed to top themselves yet again with the 1932 film The Mummy, despite it being released in December of 1932. Yeah. Imagine watching this for Christmas. Whereas Frankenstein was a cautionary tale about trying to cheat death and breaking the cycle of life, Imhotep is more so about trying to rule over the afterlife itself, and trying to find his lost love again. Again, it's a love story that spans over 1,000 years. As a result, the film dives even deeper than Frankenstein into the themes of death and theories about what awaits in the afterlife, and does an absolutely outstanding job doing it. But of course, the real star here is Karloff as Imhotep/Ardith Bey, who trades in pounds of makeup for full dialogue as he delivers some of the most chilling monologues ever uttered on film. And the rest of the supporting cast is no slouch either, working perfectly alongside both themselves and Karloff as the story continues to flesh out more as it progresses throughout. Explaining any more of this movie would do it a disservice. Like, yeah, I kinda did full spoilers for Frankenstein and Dracula, but with this one, because it's such an underrated, forgotten gem, I'm going to keep this one vague. You simply need to see it for yourself. It's both a heartbreaking tragedy and an amazing horror monster movie. And that is why its final verdict is the exact same as Frankenstein, 11 out of 10. Even if I think it is a little better than Frankenstein, they're both about on the same level of quality as each other. They're both great horror films, it's just that someone's going to prefer one over another. That's just how it is, you know, personal opinions. As Nostalgia Critic puts it, one of the scariest things known to man. So, yep, and with that, as the wolves howl outside to the full moon, we're going to go ahead and call it there. Thank you so much for watching this review. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this almost every single day. And, again, stay tuned. We still have a long way to go with this monster marathon. So, I'll see you guys next time. Or what's next in our monster catalog? Oh yes, I've been waiting to talk about that one. I'll see you guys next time when we talk about the revolutionary special effects masterpiece known as The Invisible Man.